Today I'm going to clean my lens. I was editing some pictures the other day and I noticed there were some shadows on it, and after some investigation realized it was some lint in my lens. So some simple tools. I like to wear a rubber glove on one hand. That way I can still have my other hand to feel a little texture. And you're going to need a pick, some screwdrivers, and maybe some tweezers. You need a good lint brush and a cloth, a cleaning cloth. So let's take the cap off this boy. And you can already see some lint here on the surface, and there's some underneath. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this ring, and I've already loosened some of this up a little bit, but it'll still have to get under there gently with your pick, and it should eventually, there it comes, it'll pop. Make sure you go around any resistance. Gently, and it will eventually pop loose. It's just some, oh, there it literally popped. And there will be a pin on the bottom side of this ring right here that'll make sure that you line it back up correctly. So we'll lay that off to the side, and then we'll get a screwdriver to take off this cover ring. You can see which ones are holding the ring and which ones are holding the actual glass to the lens. I'm just going to put your screwdriver in and make sure, back and forth, make sure you have the right size. I'm just going to go around and loosen all the screws. Excuse me. I think it's just as easy, and if you're careful, very careful, this is your baby. Always treat your lenses like they're part of you. Take care of them and maintenance them. There's the last one. And you probably have a hard time seeing with my hand in the way. But if you can see, all the screws are now loosened, and this outside ring should come right up off of here. There it comes. And then what I will do is I'll just take him, as I took it off, I'll sit it down exactly like that. Just makes it easier to remember. And if a good idea is to take some tape and stuff and mark exactly where it's at, so you can see some lint on here. Let's get this off because we don't want any extra on when we remove this glass. And there's a couple little plates. You'll see this ring here, and there'll be some little plates underneath these where the screws are. But just take your pick and very lightly, gently, underneath where the screws are, and it should just come right off. And like I said, there's going to be little brass plates under there with the screws. They may or may not come off with the glass. But once you get that up, and the glass has a little bit of weight to it, you just have to be careful. I get in here and get this one. Oh, I'm going to let that lay down and start over here. It's a little challenging to do this and make sure that I keep it in the lens here so you guys can all see it. But there, we're all loose. I have a hold of the ring. Some pieces are falling. Just know where they go. And there's the glass. And if you notice that this ring, I bumped this ring loose, and it's no problem. It's got pins to line it back up. Again, here's one that fell down inside. just take the pick. Sometimes it can be a little challenging. Take your time. And then we got that out. Now these will sit right on here. And sometimes it helps to have littler fingers. See how that sits on there? And I'll go ahead and do the next one. Just want to go ahead and put these on now, just to make sure don't go putting stuff together later and forget to put them on. The less pieces you have to work with, the better off. So we're just gonna lay this last one in here, like so. And then they're all back the way they were. Now back to the original task, cleaning the glass. I take my brush, which is a static brush, it'll lens cleaner, and get in here and just gently brush off that lens, the glass part of the lens. And then I take a cloth, a clean cloth that's made for lenses. Some people may want to use a solution. I do not. I don't feel there's any need to put a solution here because it shouldn't have gotten dirty. There's no way dirt should actually get in there, no grime, liquid. The only thing that's getting in there is dust. So here's the piece of glass that I took off, which is where the dust is underneath. And I will take the cloth, wipe it off gently. And it's just dust. Dust will scratch, depending on what the dust is from. Imagine a piece of fiberglass floating around. Glass on glass will scratch. So now we have that done. We're going to gently sit this piece of glass right back down where it was. Don't force anything. I can't emphasize enough. No forcing. There's a little screw popped out right here. We'll have to get him back where he belongs. Sometimes my fingers are a little bigger than they should be. There, we got him. Now they're all lined back up. Take your screwdriver, put it in your screw, make sure it's in correctly, and just give it 1 or 2 turns to make sure it's lined up. Then the next one. Make sure it's lined up. 1 or 2 turns. Next one. 1 or 2 turns. Make sure it's biting. And then go back through. Make sure your lens is down in. We don't want to use the screws to force the lens in. Make sure your lens is down, your glass is down snug. Finish tightening up the screws. Don't over tighten. This is plastic that's holding this glass in place. I know a lot of us out there think we're, Mr. Strong Guy. You don't have to over torque. Just snug. Treat your lenses like they're your babies, and you don't need to bang them around, and the screws will be fine. Now the ring will go right on top, just the way I took it off. There's a pin underneath that'll line up and click in. There it went. Click. Now once that's in place, just hold it snugly. And once again, 1 or 2 turns. Couple turns. Couple turns. Making sure everything's in where it's supposed to be. And then snug them down. All snug. There we go. Now you can see where I took off the ring, the cover ring that holds information and hides the screws. It has a little bit of sticky tape right here. And after investigating, checking it out here, it still seems pretty sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this on with that original. And just walk around, make sure that pin goes in where it's supposed to, and a little extra wipe with a cloth. The dust is gone, our lens is clean, it's ready to get back out on the field and do some work. This is Ron from PhotoWhere Photography. We photograph anything, most anywhere.